We're back with another weird figure from the Jazwares Fortnite line today. We're taking a look at Fishman Leviathan. So this guy has a fishbowl for a head with an actual fish in it. I could not pass this guy up. It's just the goofy kind of stuff that I'm interested in when it comes to this line. So we've got our figure here in the standard packaging, that kind of trapezoidal, not exactly square shape of packaging, with the big open window, the Fortnite logo, some artwork on the bottom, as well as that artwork on the side panel, more of that same artwork on the back, as well as the artwork for the rest of this wave. So let's do it. Let's pull this guy out and take a look. And here he is out of the package, our Leviathan figure. You know, I've got to throw out that disclaimer again that I really don't know anything about these figures. I don't know anything about Fortnite. I know what it is, in a sense that I know what the game is about, what type of game it is, and just generally how it's played. But I don't know anything about the characters, and even looking them up, it doesn't really tell me a great deal about them either. So this guy is an astronaut, as far as I can tell, but he is a fish that sits atop an astronaut body or something like that. And then you've got a fish bowl, which, I don't know, the design on its own was enough to draw me in, so here we are. So let's take a look and see how this guy moves around. I don't have a great deal of experience with the Jazwares Fortnite line yet. I still don't have much experience with the McFarlane stuff either, but this is definitely more my speed when it comes to size and just overall proportions, because he's going to fit more in line with your normal 6-inch scale figures. So that on its own is pretty cool. So let's see how this guy can move around, because he's definitely got some different stuff than a lot of other lines at this scale. So you've got a head that can swivel only for this guy, and this guy is of course unique. He's certainly not standard in the line. The head just kind of pops off. It's got a little socket there, and you can pop it back on. I was really hoping that I could somehow get the fish head out to do something with that, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be that easy. So all you're going to get is just rotation. The arms go out, they are ratcheted, and then they rotate as well. There is a butterfly joint in there. It doesn't help all that much, but of course it doesn't hurt to have it either. You've got a bicep swivel, you've got double jointed elbows, and then you've got hinges and rotation at the wrist. But this line is also known for having finger articulation, which harkens back to, of course, like old Toy Biz Marvel Legends. And as far as I know, some of those guys apparently work on this line, which I guess is maybe why these come in. I hate this kind of articulation. I really don't like it. I like the idea behind it, but I find that over time, it's just not going to work to hold weapons as well. Hell, it doesn't work as well as far as I'm concerned now. So you do have that. I know some folks really like it. It's just not my thing. You've got a diaphragm cut. It's really, really, really tight and noisy on this figure. So he goes backwards, and he goes forwards a little, and then he bobbles side to side, and then of course you've got rotation. But he does also have a full waist twist down here, and it's just really, really tight. So I'm sure you heard that. But it does do exactly what it needs to. Legs go out about all the way. Those are ratcheted as well. They kick forward only about that much, though. They kind of hit at that kind of the cushion on the padding on the legs. And then they go back only a smidge as well. You've got a thigh cut. You've got double jointed knees, which go back decently enough. He does have kind of baggy pants. And then you've got a boot cut. You've got a rocker at the ankle, and then you've got hinges, which work really well, but he's also got a little bit of toe articulation. He's got kind of like fat feet because of the astronaut boots, so that's going to get in the way a little bit, but it does actually work. So he is pretty well loaded with articulation. Certainly a few things that are different from what you'd see in maybe Marvel Legends, as far as like the toe articulation, and then of course the finger articulation. Of course, for my money, I'm into these figures because of their weirdness, so it comes down to the look. And the fact that this guy has an astronaut-y type of suit on was not the selling point, if you can believe that. It's everything going on from that neck up. The fishbowl, the fish inside, the whole, basically just a fish inside of an astronaut's helmet, which is just weird enough to pique my interest, and I think it looks pretty cool. For having no interest in the source material or knowing anything about this, I can appreciate the fact that this is a weird figure that just kind of looks goofy, but actually still works really well as a toy. You don't have to know everything about the source material to appreciate this as just an action figure, and I think it's pretty cool. There is a decent amount of paint applications on this guy. The sculpt is really nice. Everything is textured really well. You can see there's like wrinkles in the padding on this particular type of suit. Tons of kind of clasps, like where everything would kind of, cinch together at the various points when they shove him into the into the astronaut suit. You've got the padding on the kneecaps, the big fat boots that I mentioned, but a lot of paint all over it, and there's white shading on a lot of this to make it seem a little bit more pearly, pearlescent, almost metallic in some ways. And then, of course, you've got all of the gold straps all over that are really, really metallic, very, very shiny, and they have a lot of little paint detail on them as well, these little symbols and dots on them for, whatever they're supposed to mean. But there's just a lot of little detail on this figure, from like kind of the quilted texture on these white parts here to the line work on the straps that just kind of, ratchet him up a little bit, which makes me pretty happy with how he turned out. This guy is, I guess, if you want to be technical about it, this is an accessory. It's their little back blings that they have in the game, and this guy's is clearly supposed to be like a water container of some kind. So you've got translucent plastic there, and then some black and silver paint detail. You can take it out if you don't want it, but he's going to have a hole in his back if you do. So I think he looks really cool. It's just it's kind of a basic body in that regards, but they do a lot to bring it out with all of these kind of crazy colors, the light greens, the minty green almost with that white, the creams, the silvers, and then the gold just really pops on this guy. But I mean, obviously, the real reason to buy this figure is because of that fish. There's no getting around it. And I don't know if this guy is supposed to be evil or anything like that. Again, I don't know anything about Fortnite to know if that's even a thing, if there are good or evil type of characters in any kind of lore. But this guy certainly looks a little nefarious. He looks a little evil. I get a Krang vibe when I look at this guy because of like the wide set eyes and the slightly crooked smile and those teeth in there. But it's a fish inside of basically a big bowl with a little band-aid on the outside for some goofy comedic purposes, I'm sure. But there is a lot of little detail in this guy, little pink stripes that run down the fins, across the top of the head, more of that green detail on his skin, and then just the mouth being open with exposed teeth, those wide set eyes. It's just a goofy idea, and I think it looks really, really cool. Again, I was kind of hoping I could pop that head out somehow easily. I'm sure you can, but easily is the word. I couldn't find a way to quickly get him out of there. But I think he looks really cool. It's a very defining characteristic of this figure that he's not just a spacesuit. He is a fish that happens to be atop a spacesuit, and it's a pretty good looking fish at that. Now, as far as accessories goes, this guy has a pretty decent spread. Seems to be kind of a trend with this particular line. Again, me not knowing really anything about Fortnite kind of makes me not too aware of what most of these things signify or what their, real true purpose is, because some of them seem kind of haphazardly thrown in the package from someone who doesn't know what he's talking about. So to start off with, you've got the backpack, the back bling as they call it, and this guy has like a water cooler type of thing with a water jug, which makes perfect sense because he kind of needs some water to survive. Translucent plastic, silver and black detail, pretty basic, but it works in the confines of what this guy is. He's got his little harvesting tool here, which is kind of weird, and I'm not so sure about the practicality of it. I assume it might move in game maybe or something like that. It kind of looks like it should be articulated, but it's not. And then you've got these little notches on it. Kind of cool, kind of weird, definitely a goofy looking design. He does have a few other accessories like this little jewel here, fully translucent plastic, but it has this little notch on the back. It kind of fits into this guy here, not exactly perfect or anything like that, but then it's also got the notch, which makes me kind of think that maybe, it's supposed to be him grabbing it or something. I have no idea. If someone knows, let me know. And then the other kind of weird accessory, he's got a popcorn tin here, which, is great as far as having one of these. I don't know what the significance is here, but it's nicely sculpted, good paint detail on it. Certainly something that a lot of folks will want to have just, to mess around with 1/12 scale figures. It also has the notch on the back though. So yeah, I'm not really sure what's going on there. You can't really get these to fit inside very well, so it's not like it seems like it's meant to be used for that, but I'm not really sure what that's supposed to be for otherwise. I've yet to decipher that one. And then he does have some other weaponry as well. So you've got this handgun here, which just is done in some kind of gunmetal-y colored plastic with a little black paint. And then he's got his kind of machine gun here, which is a little cartoony in terms of its look, but I like it. And it's nice to get some more guns out of this particular line too. So you've got that same kind of gunmetal plastic, but with some kind of army green color on there and a little bit of a red stripe on the magazine. So he comes with a bunch of stuff. Again, I just don't really know why he comes with a lot of it. So overall, this is a fun figure, and that's really why I bought him. I thought he looked like he was going to be a fun figure. It's certainly a weird-looking figure, and it is a weird figure. There's not any other way to describe it. It's a spacesuit with a fish on top of it. And that's pretty much all I needed to know. He happens to also move pretty well. Outside of the fact that I'm not a big fan of finger articulation, he does move really well. He has all of like the more modern style articulation that we're seeing across a lot of lines in this scale these days. So I'm happy with how he moves. A lot of paint detail, a lot of sculpt on this guy. And again, it's a weird, goofy figure. You don't have to know anything about Fortnite to appreciate it for what it is. And it's a cool action figure. So, you know, if you're interested in a fish guy atop a spacesuit, you might want to take a look. So that's going to do it for this look at the Jazwares Fortnite Leviathan figure. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And until next time.